Good morning, Daniel the Adjuster. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Day in the Life of an Adjuster. And yeah, it's probably not the right title because I'm not showing you an entire day, but I am showing you what happens in my day and what things I come across during my episodes as an adjuster. And every day is a surprise. So for those that are interested in watching this information, it certainly can be entertaining to be an adjuster, meaning there are things that happen where you just kind of scratch your head and go, oh boy, that was interesting. And then other times it's kind of boring and humdrum and the same old, same old. So not always is there excitement and, wonderful activity during these events. Sometimes they're just humdrum inspections and they just, they're the same thing I've seen 100 times. But you never know what you'll come across because that is the world that we live in, is an uncertainty of what will happen. So for instance, good morning to you guys that are joining me this morning. We are talking about a claim I just went on this morning for an inspection for some water damage. And the claim was interesting because I do see these quite a bit as far as damage goes, and it's something that repeats itself. And that's going to be where you have a nail that hits a plumbing line, and it comes back to the fact that the plumber did not mount the plumbing line that comes down the wall in the center of the stud. Instead, mounted it right next to the drywall. This was a 3/4 supply line, and the house is 3 years old, so it's actually exactly perfect timing for exactly what happened. Is a trim nail went through the 3/4 plumbing line, and it takes about 2 to 3 years for that to rust through and eventually pop a hole, and pushes out the rotted or rusted nail, and all of a sudden now we have an active leak in the house. And this is what exactly happened. Now, how it occurred, I mentioned that the plumbing line was mounted too close to the drywall, so it was not mounted in the center of the stud where it's supposed to be, so that if they do shoot a nail in, the nail can't reach the plumbing line. This one was mounted literally flush to the drywall, and there was no chance that if they missed the stud with a trim gun that they would hit this plumbing line. Now, what made it even worse was there was a wood support. So basically the wall was a closet where real wood shelving was mounted, so rod and shelf, and the upright supports that they put the brackets on, that was what was nailed to the stud, and they missed the stud just slightly to the right, and that's when they hit the plumbing line. So water did a bunch of damage before the insured could get the water shut off. Then it caused a fair bit of water damage inside the house. Flooring, about 80 square feet of drywall on one room, and about 8 or 10 square foot of drywall on the backside, as well as baseboard and newly installed laminate flooring, snap lock flooring. So we're going to go back and subrogate against the builder, because the plumber is the one who caused this by mounting those plumbing lines too close to the surface of the drywall. Now, it's not the trim guy's fault. He can't see behind the walls, and his nail was right next to the stud, so he was pretty close. He only missed it by 1/4 of an inch. But the problem is the plumbing line was literally flush with the drywall. It was not down the center of the stud that would have prevented this from happening, because even if he had missed the stud, the whole point is he's using a 2-inch nail to mount his trim. Okay, the material that he's shooting through is 3/4 of an inch. All right, you got a 1/2 inch of drywall, so right there we're at 1.25 inches, and he's only then going into the wood 3/4 of an inch, like the stud. Okay, so really, you know, that's if he's using a 2-inch nail. If he's using a 2.5-inch nail, he's only going 1.5 inches into the wood, which is still doesn't get you to the center of the stud. It takes 1.75 inches to get you to the center of the stud. So he could use 2.5-inch nails, which he's not going to. Most trim guys have learned this a long time ago, that you only use a 2-inch nail when you're shooting on trim. But the point is the plumbing line was sitting right on the surface of the drywalls, right next to the stud, flush with the drywall. And so he only had to miss one of those nails and it's going to go straight through the plumbing line. So that's the whole problem. The plumber installed the line wrong, which then would cause the potential for, you know, a risk, and not always, like baseboard could cause it. Meaning, if that plumbing line is put in the wrong spot, then really anything you're mounting to the wall, whether it's a closet rod support or the 1x4 across the top to hold the shelving, baseboard down at the bottom, anything that's nailed onto that wall, the guy's got to be shooting for the stud, and he doesn't always hit the stud. He hits the stud 1 or 2 of those nails. Maybe he's putting 3 nails in. Whatever. I mean, the guys are going fast. I used to be a trim carpenter, and I know what it's like. Most of the time, you're just looking for one to hit. If one hits, then it's solid. You know it's not going anywhere. And, you know, what you a lot of times will do is not one on top of another. You'll do it just one and a little bit over a little bit. So you're hitting you're trying to shoot for that stud. But the point is, you're supposed to be, as a plumber, considering the possibility that the trim guy might hit your plumbing lines. And so, or cabinet guy when he's screwing in his cabinets, or a person who's hanging a picture on the wall, or, you know, there's tons of other things. People putting shelvings on the wall or decorations. There's all sorts of reasons that potentially somebody could be putting something on the wall, and you as a plumber have to be conscientious of that to make sure you're mounting your plumbing lines in the center of the stud to keep it away from the potential of being hit by a nail or a screw. And so now we will go back and subrogate against the builder. Obviously the builder is then going to say, hey, not my fault, it's my plumber's fault. So he's going to push the blame onto that plumber, and that plumber is going to be basically sued for damages caused by this nail. And it will be his fault, because that's code. Code says that that plumbing line has to be in the center of the stud or protected by a metal plate. And he could have mounted that plumbing line right next to the drywall. That's totally fine, but he's got to have a metal plate that's going to protect from any nails or screws. And they don't put up 5 feet metal plates. And so the point is, you know, his whole plumbing line was 5 feet next to the drywall. And it was stupid because he had plenty of space to be able to mount it otherwise. And he just didn't do it right. So that was the problem. Shouldn't there be nail guards? Yeah, absolutely, nail guards. But the problem is the line is running down the whole length of the stud, and they're not going to put in a metal plate down that whole thing. He just installed it wrong. The metal plates are for when it goes through the sill plate or the top plate, and that's typically where your metal plates are going to be mounted. And that's going to be because you know you're shooting in baseboard, and you know you're shooting in crown possibly. Okay, that's an absolute for all your transfers, as you know the metal plates are concerned. Or if they're going vertically or horizontally, across a wall, you don't need a metal plate if the plumbing line is located in the center of that stud. You don't need it. It's only when it's offset. And the inspector should be coming by there and checking as you go through those. And this, the point is, this was not going horizontal. This was going vertical. This should have been an absolute catch from the plumbing inspector. And so it kind of goes back to the fact that, hey, most plumbing inspections are not done possible. Hey, Jeff Russell, no way, man. How you doing? Good to see you. I just read your name. Dude, you got more time in your hand than I do, probably. No, I'm just kidding. So slow around here. But anyway, so yeah, the whole point is when the inspector should have picked this up, meaning it was, walked into the closet and saw the plumbing line sitting totally flush with the drywall. They should have flagged that in a heartbeat, put a big red mark on it, and had the plumber come back and move that line. But again, it comes back to the fact that most of these inspectors are not doing thorough inspections of these homes. They're just doing haphazard, 5-minute install, walking in there, checking a few things, then walking out. They're just not doing a good job inspecting the houses, just as much as the installers are not doing a good job putting stuff in. So yeah, totally the plumber's fault on this one. Jeff, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Thanks for joining me, man. I haven't seen you here before, so I guess you must be bored like me. So I've been doing these lives as I drive to my claims. This one I'm in Holly Springs. I'm right down in your neck of the woods. And so for all of you watching on here, Jeff is also another adjuster, a daily adjuster that works in my area. He gets all of my re-inspections. I get all his re-inspections. And we work for different insurance companies, so not always do we work together, but we used to work a lot more together when we were handling progressive claims. But I haven't handled any progressive claims in like decades, it seems like now. I can't seem to get any claims for them. So they kind of messed up. But yeah, what'll happen, guys, as an adjuster is you will meet some of the local guys that work in your area, because you're going to be handling some of those re-inspections. Or, like, for instance, I've had several people that just don't like me, and so they ask for another adjuster just because they got an attitude or they think I'm racist. And I'm just teasing. There is no way this person thought I was racist, but they just threw the race card and decided they didn't want me there. And all it was because I had them on 2 prior claims, and I pointed out the fact that their house was falling apart and was giving them a little bit of advice that they might want to do some maintenance on their house. And they got all offended and said, this guy is telling me that I should take care of my house better. And I thought I was helping the person, but they took offense to it. So it is what it is. And so they requested another adjuster, but then called it a race thing, that I was prejudiced. So anyways, it happens. So yeah, so this one, I am going to, the one I just left obviously was some pretty significant water damage from a plumbing line that got hit by a nail. And this next one I'm coming up to is about an hour away, and I don't even know what it is. It just says living room, vent, and kitchen ceiling have water spots, and kitchen and hallway floors are bubbling and cracking after snow and rainstorms. So again, we deal with a lot of inaccurate descriptions of causes of loss, because the people that are taking their claims, like who are actually recording these claims, are just not the brightest people in the world. And so sometimes we get these kind of crazy descriptions of what happened. Like, could they have done a little more research and said, well, is the water coming from your roof, do you think? Or is it coming from a bathroom? Or did you have a toilet overflow? Something. They could have asked a few questions to possibly clarify what, get the cause of loss to be more accurate. Because I don't know whether I'm inspecting the roof or I'm just going out there to inspect for some plumbing leak that happened in the bathroom. When I called them, I didn't get them, and so I always tell them they can text me to let me know if the inspection works for them. And this person actually texted back and said yes, it would work. So I actually didn't get to talk to them, which I would have asked all those questions, like where's the water coming from, blah blah blah, if I had talked to them on the phone. But hey, my goal is to get this thing inspected and get those inspection times going. So my goal sometimes is just, hey, give me a date as soon as you can so I can go see it, and I'll figure it out when I get there. But in this situation, hey, I'm ready. It's a sunny day, so I'm not worried if I have to climb the roof. But on some situations where I'm inspecting a water loss, I want to make sure that it isn't the roof if it happened to be raining that day. So that's part of your scheduling that you want to make sure you're scheduling those things correctly too. Is you don't want to be out there when it's pouring rain when you think it's just going to be a toilet overflow, and it turns out to be a roof inspection. So yeah. Part of the process of inspecting. So make sure you hit a like, guys, on this live if you like what I'm talking about. I'll sure appreciate it. And if you have any questions, make sure you type something in there so I can answer it. And if you are an adjuster, put a number 1 in the chat. And if you're not an adjuster, put a number 2 in the chat. I would love to know who I'm speaking with, because that kind of what it does is it kind of directs me with the conversation. So if I have a bunch of people that are not adjusters in here, then I could talk to you in a more simpler term. Maybe you're checking it out and thinking, hey, I want to be an adjuster, and maybe I'm talking way over your head. Maybe I got 5 people in here that are not adjusters. That wouldn't be really good to be just talking like all the technical words and all the stuff that has to do with somebody who's an experienced adjuster. AJ, great. I'm thankful that you're joining me so we can talk about adjusting. Appreciate that. Anybody else in there? Anybody? I know Jeff is. So Jeff doesn't have to put in a 1, but yeah, Jeff's my buddy. So so heading to Mebane. This is about an hour drive. I was in Holly Springs, and going to Mebane is about an hour's drive. So we're going to be on this live for another 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes. So just to let you guys know, if you have any questions, feel free to answer or to put them in the chat so we can talk about things. Otherwise, day in the life of an adjuster. Well, sometimes it's good. Sometimes you guys will do your inspections in the afternoon. I know some people, I think Jeff does most of his inspections in the afternoon too. Yeah, it's up to you. That's what's great about adjusting, is especially as being an independent. If you're in the field, is you can set up your inspections whatever. So if you had an appointment that you had to hit at lunchtime, you could do an inspection in the morning and then get the rest of your inspections in the afternoon. Maybe you had the whole morning, you had something to do, and then you just change it around and do all your inspections in the afternoon. Or maybe it was going to rain in the morning, but not in the afternoon. So yeah, so this works too. You can really schedule at any time. Can you climb the roof for every inspection? Licensed, but haven't done a job yet. Okay, so it just depends. Okay, so if it's weather related, and good question, Eugene, thanks for that. It depends on the cause of loss. Meaning, if it's a wind claim, then yes, you have to climb the roof. It's a hail claim, yes. If it's anything weather related, yes, you have to climb the roof. If it's water, meaning I've got a leak in my house, sometimes I think the best conversation to have with a person when you first call them is to say, do you know where the water's coming from? And they may say, oh yeah, I had a plumber come over and he said my toilet's leaking. Okay, so you know you're not climbing the roof. Now you have to do a perimeter inspection, which is just basically a left photo, a rear photo, a right photo, and a front photo. That's it. And all the reason why you're doing that is to prove that maybe the water didn't end up coming out of the house somewhere and staining the side of the house, or whatever. I mean, it could be a lot of different things. I mean, even if the water came out, it's not going to probably do any damage to the side of the house, but at least you can document the fact, yeah, it looks like the water exited from this area on this concrete slab and it drained out. It'll be fine. It'll dry out. So yeah, that's a reason for your photos. But no, you don't have to climb the roof on every claim. But let's say you had a tree come down and it hit a fence on the back of the property. Okay, nowhere, and they say no damage to the house. No, the tree didn't hit the house. Doesn't look like there's any damage to the house. They may even say, no damage to the house whatsoever. It just hit my fence and the tree fell down. Well, they're going to be documenting that loss probably to wind. And yes, unfortunately, you're going to have to climb that roof and do a full perimeter inspection to look for wind damage on that house. Now, chances are, probably 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have any damage on that house. But you better get up there and take 4 or 5 photos of the roof, just to confirm there's no damage and to show that you got on that roof. Otherwise, that firm is going to send you back, and they're going to say you didn't do a roof inspection and this is a wind claim. Man, that's the worst thing in the world if you've got to go back out to that same place just to jump on the roof and take those photos. So yeah, definitely do the roof inspection if you've got a wind associated or weather associated claim. Now fire, totally different. If I had a fire and it happened in the backyard, I'm going to do a perimeter inspection, but if I can prove that fire didn't make its way to the roof, then I'm not going to do a roof inspection. Now, if I've got the whole back of the house is fire damaged and the soffit is damaged, okay, let's say the vinyl siding, it only burnt to the soffit and there's only just the slightest, tiniest little touch to the soffit, but I can say, hey, close-up photo, no damage appears to have made it into the upper level. I may still be required to go up to the attic and do an attic inspection to make sure that we didn't have any type of soot or smoke damage to the insulation up in that attic. So that would be kind of a bummer, but that's just part of that inspection process. Now let's say I only have siding damage up to about 12 feet on that house and there's no evidence of any melting or soot damage or anything like that higher, then I do not need to go inside. And I could literally ask the person, did you have any smoke damage or anything, smell anything inside the house? 99% of the time they'll say no, especially if the smoke was only, or the damage was only like 10 or 12 feet tall. So that's just part of you deducting whether you need to do the inspection or not. They also, some of the insurance carriers are now giving us a form. It's called an interior inspection waiver. And what that form is just a quick little sentence that says, at this time, I'm not reporting any inside damage. I'm not allowing the insurance to inspect the interior because I'm confirming there's no inside damage. And so those are a nice little form that we get sometimes where that just alleviates me from any responsibility to inspect the interior, because I'll just get them to sign a quick little signature on this form and be done with it. So I like those forms because that then gets me away from having to inspect the interior, which, it's not that I don't want to inspect the interior, it's just that it takes time. And my goal is to get in and out of that inspection and not spend all day, chit-chatting with the insured. So I like the fact that if I can get an inspection done super quick and not have to inspect the interior. So, all right, hopefully that answered your question there, Eugene. Well, thanks guys so much for watching. We got a few people here today. This is Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. At least track of the day. Tuesday the 11th, March 11th. Uh-oh, got lots of traffic. I'm heading out to Mebane, which is unfortunately a high traffic area. I thought I was going to beat the traffic being almost 10 o'clock, and we got a bunch of traffic. So it is what it is. Sometimes you get lucky. My first claim, I went the opposite direction of traffic, and I was very fortunate. I didn't have any traffic going there. And this one is kind of odd because it's so late in the morning. At 10 o'clock in the morning, I did not expect this. This is US 40 North. I did not expect to see this kind of traffic at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. I guess people going in late, maybe, who knows. But yeah, it's sometimes traffic can be a little bit of a bother to an adjuster. So, and you're welcome, Eugene, I'm glad it helped. Sometimes the traffic can be a bother, and you've got to schedule your claims proactively in order to avoid traffic, because the last thing you want to do is, be promising somebody that you're going to be at a location for their inspection and then end up being like a half hour to 45 minutes late. That would be, that's not respecting their time. So typically, it's nice when you think there's going to be potentially a traffic issue, is to give people a window of about a half an hour. And so typically what I'll say is, instead of saying just I'll be there at 9, I'll say probably somewhere between 9 and 9:30. And those are going to be the only ones that I actually do that for, meaning I'm traveling a fair distance away from one claim to another, and I'm not exactly sure I'll be on time, exactly on the hour, or wherever my time frame is going to be. So I'll give them a window. But I do not give a window on every single claim. That's not, to me, that's kind of an insult to the insured. I just feel like if I say I'm going to be somewhere, then I'm going to do my best to be exactly on time, if not 5 minutes, give or take. And I think that shows people that you respect their time more than, for instance, like AT&T that says, I'll give you a 4-hour window. And you're like, I'm not sitting around my house for 4 hours to wait for you to come out and put, some internet in my house. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So I tell people, I try to schedule these things so that they're, and this is part of the reason why I try to do as short of an inspection as possible, 15, 20 minutes, 30 maybe at the max, is because I want to be able to give myself that 15 minutes to a half an hour to get to the next claim without having to speed, without having to be late. So if I'm scheduling at one at 9, I'm going to be there right at 9, do the inspection, be out of there, and still give myself plenty of time to be at the next one by 10. And yeah, I might be 10 minutes early. Hey, people love when you're early. Absolutely love when you're early. They're not going to complain if you show up 10 minutes early. Or I can text them and say, looks like I'll be a few minutes early. Oh, that's great. I'll see you then. They're as happy as can be because they're anticipating that you're coming already. So being early is great. Now, also on the flip side, if you're going to be 10 minutes late, it's always good to say, I'm on my way. I should be there about 10 after 9 or whatever time it is, 10 after. Those people will really appreciate it as well. And it's just, guys, just respecting people's time is just as important as how you get upset when a roofer says he's going to meet you, or an insured says, or if they're renting the house and the insured says they're going to meet you at the rental property and they don't show up for 20 minutes. How irritating that is for us. We understand what that feels like when somebody says they're going to be there and they're not. Okay? And then they don't call. That's just irritating. To me, that's very disrespectful of somebody's time. So we want to do it on the flip side. If we tell somebody we're going to be there, let's make our schedule right on the money. And if we're going to be late, let's let them know. If we're going to be early, we can also let them know. But 99% of the time when I'm early, I don't call. 99%. Because if I show up early, I might go to the door and I'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. I got here a little bit earlier than normal. That person's going to be going, oh, that's totally fine. Come on in. That's great. They're not going to sit there and go, hold on. I was having my coffee. You'll have to come back in 10 minutes. They're not going to do it. They're going to be excited you're there early. In fact, we're probably anticipating your visit. They're happy you're coming, and they're glad that you're early. So you don't have to tell them when you're early. You just need to apologize when you're late. So, key factor when making appointments is always be willing to be on time and schedule yourself accordingly so you're not late. And it works out. And like here, I'm anticipating traffic. I still have, remember, your GPS is set for arrival time, not for how long the trip is. Okay, so always set your GPS for arrival time. Then you will know exactly when you're going to show up. If you're running 5 minutes behind, guess what you got to do? Speed up a little bit. Hey, if you're traveling an hour, you only have to travel a couple mile an hour over the speed limit in order to make sure you're there exactly on time. That's what the arrival time is showing. So I've got 4 minutes to spare from the time that I will be there because I'm 4 minutes early on my arrival time. So that the GPS is a very valuable tool when it comes to making sure that you're going to be on time. And especially if you got one that will help you through traffic, like when it says there's going to be a 10-minute delay on traffic, well then that's when you'll be able to call the insured and say, looks like I'm stuck in traffic. They say it's a 10-minute delay. I'll be there as soon as I can. But at least you've let them know, hey, there's a wreck on this highway. I'm showing a 10-minute delay on GPS. I'll be there in 10 minutes, 10 minutes later. So keep that in mind. So guys, if you have any questions, let me know if you have any questions. Put a 1 in the chat if you are an adjuster, number 2 in the chat if you are not an adjuster. I'd love to be able to know who I'm talking with. And don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, Daniel the Adjuster. I try to broadcast live almost every day now for the last 16 days. So it's actually, I got this little series going now that's lots and lots of good information about the day of being an adjuster. I know everybody's saying, well, that's not the day in the life. No, it's not a whole day. But if you add it all up, it'll be a day. So no, I'm not doing the typical format of day in the life. Everybody else is like, you're supposed to do the whole day. I'm like, I'm not recording my whole day from the time I wake up. My eyes are full of snot from sleeping all night, and I got drool coming out of my mouth. I'm not recording that, just so that you can see when I wake up and hit my alarm. Not going to do it. And when I'm sitting around at nighttime doing nothing after my busy day, I'm not going to show you that either. So it is what it is. So I figured my series, I can name it whatever I want, and this is my day in the life series. I'm doing it actually as I'm copying one of my favorite artists. Do I have a video equipment? Let's see. Do you have a video on equipment you use for daily claims? I do. So if you look on my YouTube channel, I'm trying to think what it's called. I don't think it's specifically called equipment, but there is an older video. It's one of my most popular videos, believe it or not. And I did talk about all the stuff that was in my bag. I can't think of the name right now, but if you might be able to search on my YouTube channel for equipment, or maybe I used it as a keyword. But I probably need to do a video like that for more clarification. You're right. But if you're looking for the items that I carry with me, in every description of my video, Eugene, is there are links for Amazon for every single item that I have in my tool belt, and things that I use, ladders, you name it, ropes, climbing ropes, harness, the whole shabam. It's in every description of my videos. So this video included, go down to the bottom of the description, there's a whole list of all the equipment I use. So yeah, if you ever want to pick up anything, it's exactly what I still use today. There's nothing on that list that I still don't use. I use that stuff and still carry all of it in my vehicle for my claims. And so the same thing, I've got a 200-foot rope, I got a rope and harness, I got rappel equipment. Anything that I need is in the car for any scenario that I would run on. So if I get onto a monster roof that I can't climb, well, guess what? I got the rope and harness, I got the nylon, the nylon throw cord. It's got a little bean bag on the end. You rip that over top of the roof, attach your rope, pull it over. I don't even have to climb the roof, and I can get the rope over. So all those cool little toys. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they have one where they have a shotgun that you can shoot the ball over the top of the roof that's attached to a rope. I actually thought for a while that I might get one of those. That was the coolest thing, but then I was thinking, how far is that thing shooting, man? It's like I had to chase that thing like 300 yards. I shoot this, and it uses 22 shells. So you imagine standing out in front of somebody's house, boom, shooting your ball over top of their house. So it attaches to the nylon cord so that you can pull your rope over and climb the roof. So funny. Hey, Timothy, how's it going? Welcome. Just got my Texas license. All right, very cool. Over the road trucker. I've been driving 38 years trying to transition. Oh man, totally get it. I know a bunch of people that are doing this as they retire. Like police, I have I've actually done consultation calls for several police officers. What I mean by the consultation call is I have a 1 hour time that you can pay me to have a call with you for an hour, and we can talk about life and how it works out as far as transitioning and make it customized for you just specifically. Links in the description under consultation calls. And so I've actually done several with police officers, military professionals that have, retiring from the military, firemen. I had an FBI agent one time, truckers. I actually did have a trucker one time, said he was interested in transitioning, and we just talked and helped them through the process of transferring their business, whatever their business looks like right now, and then the process of getting educated, trained, and ready to go into this business. And here's the thing, I met a guy who was 92 years old doing my job. Okay, not outside adjusting, but he was a desk adjuster, and he was one of the first employees or adjusters of Pilot Catastrophe, the firm Pilot Catastrophe. And he was 92 years old, and he was an auto adjuster working in a desk. And I was like, that's going to be me. I'm not going to stop working. Now, I may not work full time, but I love this type of work that I can't see me ending this type of job ever. Number one, it's proven to stop working, your health and your physical state goes way down when you stop working. So everyone who retires ends up having health problems and mental problems the longer they are retired. That's a proven fact, guys, and that's absolutely in the facts of health. And so the best thing to do is to stay working. And the people that are active, the people that are engaged mentally, very rarely will have like Alzheimer's or any type of these mind things that onset after they stop working. And here's the thing, they have proven that like all these like major bigwigs, like financial guys, CEOs, CFOs, all these big guys who stop working end up getting mental disorders like Alzheimer's very quickly after they stop working. And it's like their brain, when it stops engaging in those very difficult tasks, ends up going to the opposite and getting sick. So yeah, I am a firm believer of that, and so I feel like personally I'm going to climb roofs as long as I can, and the only thing that's going to stop me is vertigo, and that I don't know when that kicks in, but my dad's 81 and he's just dealing with vertigo now. So I imagine, I probably won't be able to climb a roof when I'm 80. So, but if I can, I'm still going to be climbing roofs at 80. I'll still be doing YouTube videos climbing. I'll be the oldest adjuster climbing roofs. So that's my goal. And then when that stops, then I'll find, I'll do flood adjusting, which you can do forever. You can do this thing until you're 100 years old and dead. I saw so many flood adjusters that I was shocked how old some of these guys were when I was out in Florida. And so, yeah, you can do this job as long as you can walk. I mean, I know a guy, okay, he's got MS, and he was an auto adjuster doing hailstorms for cars. And he got on, and he barely can walk. He's got, really bad walking issues. Sometimes has to use a cane. He says sometimes he'll jump on a scooter and run all over the parking lot doing inspections for the auto lots when they have a hailstorm that goes through. And so, and he's 60 or 70 years old himself, and so he's busy too. And so these guys, they have no plans on retiring because they still do the job. There's nothing stopping them from doing this, some type of insurance job. And they're also self-employed. And the difference is, the reason why a lot of people stop working is because their management says, okay, you need to retire at 60, sorry. We got younger guys coming in that can do your job with their eyes closed. We're going to give you a severance package and say goodbye to you. And so these guys get laid off when they're thinking, hey, I'm totally fine, I can do this job, but their boss is like, no, we need to retire everybody at 60 years old. You're making too much money, and we can get somebody in for half your salary doing your job with their eyes closed. So that's why all these old guys get kicked out of these big corporate jobs, and why they can't work till 80 or 90 years old is because nobody wants them there. They make too much money. So nobody's going to stop me from working, and I'm just going to keep making more and more, and I'm going to do this until I die. All right, so Timothy, when I take my break, I'll reach out on the link. Very cool. Yes, very good. Absolutely. We can walk you through a plan, an organization, get you a great plan for transitioning. And I think it's always scary when you go out on your own. I mean, I can remember the day, like I'm 35 years now self-employed, and I still can remember the day that I went from an employee as a carpenter to going out on my own as a carpenter. And it was very scary. Very, very scary. And there was definitely a transition time, but I had motivation and I had a desire to say, hey, I want to do this. I want to make myself a success in this. I don't want to work for somebody. I hated working for people. I hate my bosses. I hated my coworkers. And I wanted to get out on my own. I wanted to do my own thing. And so that's how I became basically self-employed carpenter. And I did super well. And then I became a remodeler and became a builder. And then the economy tanked in 2008, so I went out of business. Because everybody wasn't building houses. We went a whole year and nobody was building houses. Nobody was remodeling anything. Everybody went out of business. In fact, 35 of my builder friends went bankrupt during that 2008 crash of the stock market and the housing business. So we're ripe for another one. We're ripe for another big crash. Everything's so expensive and overpriced, and houses are ridiculous, and the average person can't afford to buy a house. So we're ripe for another big crash. They call it a crash, but it's really a correction. It's a correction in the broken system that is making everything so expensive that everybody kind of needs a wake-up call. And it'll happen, and it's always good for the economy. So yeah, just make sure you got some savings so that you can survive. But no, heading over here to Mebane for a water loss. This one here, I don't know what I'm coming in to look for, but what I'll do is I'll do a live after I inspect the house. I'm inspecting at 10:30 Eastern time, which we're 5 minutes early right now, based on my GPS. And right now it's 10:10 here in the East Coast. But I'm going to be there at 10:30 to do that inspection. It'll probably take me 20 minutes to do the inspection, and hopefully I'll go live again and let you know how that inspection went. Around 10:50 to 11 o'clock, we'll go live and tell you how it went. So if you missed this live, can't stay around, and check back a little later, closer to 11, and we'll be live again. Hey, and make sure that you hit the notification bell, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You'll know every time I go live, so you'll never miss it. You'll always be able to pop in. I think it's funny how many comments I get later on in my live and go, I didn't know you were live. And I'm going, dude, that's what the bell's for. Follow, subscribe, and hit the bell, and you'll be notified every time I post something. Every time I upload a new video, like check out my last video, it's been going absolutely nuts with people and comments. Hail or no hail, it's on my YouTube channel. And people are like, dude, that's like a crazy climb. And so that I just did that video because it was a great opportunity to show us climbing a steep roof. But the roofers were afraid to climb it. So yeah, that's a great video. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. It was fun. I enjoy doing that stuff. And honestly, on that roof, that was about a 2 out of 10 on difficulty level for me, even though it was a 10 out of 10 for them. They didn't even climb it. They were just like, nope, not climbing it. And even one of the guys said, how in the world did you get up there? I go, well, you saw how I got up. And he goes, there ain't no way I would do that. And I was like, yeah. Well, he was a young roofer, so I get it. He's still kind of learning the ropes. But I have met a lot of roofers that wouldn't climb the stuff that I climb. So it's just, once you get climbing, you'll feel comfortable. You've got your safety in check, which means You always carry 3 points of contact, 4 points of contact, whatever you need in order to keep yourself safe. And you don't take chances. You listen to your body, and your body will tell you, I don't like the looks of that, or it doesn't feel good. You listen to that body, and then you just say, hey, I'm going to go get my rope. I'm going to go back down. Because what will happen is your body will say, oh, that doesn't feel right. And what people do is they'll ignore that, and then they'll take a chance, and then they'll fall. And instead, I would go down, get off the ladder, and go get the rope. And yes, it takes time, and yes, it's annoying, but I'll go do the rope and say, yeah, it's better to go ahead and get the rope. But a lot of guys will say, what's such a pain to go get the rope? It's such a pain to do this, whatever. And then they'll take that chance, and then they'll fall. So you don't want to do that. You definitely want to listen to your body. Nervousness is there for a reason. When you're climbing, adrenaline goes up, but it's also there to warn you of something that is dangerous that maybe you shouldn't be doing, or maybe you need to be doing more carefully. And you got to listen to that. So what I do is I listen to that and then take extra precaution when that feeling comes about. And the more you climb, the less and less you will feel that feeling, because you feel confident in what you're doing. You feel good, and you feel like you're being safe. And so after 30 some odd years of climbing, I've gotten to the point where I feel really, really good of climbing, because I was a framer, and and I was standing on ladders seemed like my whole career, between installing crown or trim on the outside of houses, or climbing under roofs, putting up sheathing, or whatever it was. I was always climbing, always on a ladder, always moving around. So I became really comfortable on a ladder. So many times installing crown, standing on the top of the ladder. No, probably not safe, but I never fell, because I just felt comfortable on the ladder, made sure the feet were steady, and made sure I felt good, on the ladder, and never fell. Just never fell. And I think it's just important that if you take your time and you're careful, then I think you can prevent yourself from any type of fall. I think it's when you take a risk, guys. Taking the risk is the bad thing. I mean, they talk about that with anything. I mean, with guys who, like I saw a news article yesterday, 18-year-old guy driving 134 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. I mean, really? 134 miles an hour in a 35. That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And guess what? He wrecked his car, and he killed his buddy who was riding with him. So, I mean, and the guy's going to go to jail forever because he killed his friend. And it's just sad, but obviously taking a risk. So those are the things we want to stay away from. Where am I deployed? I'm actually not deployed. I'm actually running daily claims. Good question, though. I'm running daily claims, which are just everyday events in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. So that's my home base, and I drive about an hour and a half radius from Raleigh, and that's my workspace. So I could be in Fayetteville, I could be in Goldsboro, Winston-Salem, I can be to the Virginia border, I can be to Rocky Mount, Wilson. I go to Bern sometimes, which is all the way on the coast. But yeah, there's all sorts of places. So the circle's really wide, but it's good because then that means you can find more work and you can stay busy. So that works really for anybody. They expect you kind of to probably between 150 miles as your radius. 100 to 150 miles is your radius. And yeah, it sounds like a lot, but as you drive more, then driving does not seem as tedious or cumbersome anymore. It just seems like part of your daily life. And so, you know, when somebody says there was an hour between my claim from one claim to another, people are like, wow, that's a long drive. It's really not. It's really not. After you've been driving so much, an hour's drive is nothing. So I currently deployed with Tennessee Farm Bureau in Clarksville on daily rate. Okay, well, hey, work is work, right? You take what you got. Daily rates, nothing wrong with that. You know, it depends on how much they're pushing you to work, though. It's not the best arrangement. I would definitely be looking always for fee schedule if you are deployed, or component. Okay, component adjusting is where you will go in after the fact of a catastrophe, and you will handle all the things that were missing on specific claims. So you might get a bundle of 15 claims in a day, and they may say, we need the left elevation siding on this house, and we need 3 pictures. Okay, that's component adjusting. And they're going to pay you to go out and take those photos and upload those to the file. Same thing. We may need the rear elevation, or we may need the bedroom wall, or or the transition in the flooring on the inside, or wherever. So there's lots of different things that you can do for component, and you can make really, really good money working component adjusting. So yeah, so let's say, so Jim, you said 14 claims max a week. Oh man, that's killer. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good deal. I don't know what you're making, but that's not a lot of work. 14 a week's not a very busy schedule at all. How many miles do you put on your car each year? I'm right at 30,000 is what I put on every year. And depends, if I go to an ACAT event, then I'm going to put more. But I would say, yeah, almost every year it's about 30,000 on my 608. Man, that's great money, Jim. Jen. Sorry, that's very, very good money for daily rate. Nothing wrong with that at all. Very good. Yeah, I would definitely take that as long as you can get it. And here's the thing. Everything about that is the consistency of work. I mean, that's the whole point with daily claims, is to be able to stay busy. So if you're not staying busy, it really sucks, because then you're spending a whole day, you're not making any money, and your bills still keep coming. So 600 a day means that, and depends, 5 days a week, 3,000 a week, 12,000 a year, or 12,000 a month. That's great money. And there's nothing wrong with that, if you can keep it coming, if it's constant and you can keep that coming. And that's the whole point. It's when you stop working and you're only doing that sporadically that it really starts to suck, because then you're like, wow, I got bills and I didn't get paid enough that week. And that's how it works with daily claims in the winter time for me, is that it's not always busy, but I'm being paid on a fee schedule. I've got some that I'm being paid flat rate, which is actually a very good flat rate. I'm getting paid $5.75 per claim as a flat rate fee. So not per day, this is per claim. And so there are times where I've had 3 claims a day with that company, and that's a pretty awesome day. And I've actually, during a event, had 5 claims a day with that flat rate. But the cool part about this carrier also is that they will change over and make it a catastrophe pay if a big event happens, and then you start working fee schedule on that catastrophe. And a catastrophe can be local too. Meaning, if I have a hailstorm and there's a bunch of claims that come in, they will deem it a catastrophe, and then I can start making a fee schedule based on my claims as well. So then if I get a bunch of hail claims, then I'm starting to make regular dollars, and they pay really well on their regular fee schedule too. It can be very, very profitable. And so that's the thing is, as you get older as an adjuster and you keep on working through different opportunities as an adjuster, you will find the better insurance carriers to work for, and then you try to find the firms that handle their stuff so that you can get more and more work with that. So definitely, I worked for a bunch of bum ones at the beginning. They weren't always that great, but you pay your dues. You get your experience, but then doesn't always work out well at the beginning, and you're like, man, I can't believe I'm working for so little. But you're getting experience, and that sometimes is very valuable, especially as a new adjuster. So guys, I'm pulling into the subdivision to inspect this house. We're only just a mile away, so I'm going to stop the live for now, but come back in about 30 minutes. I should have this one done, and we'll continue where we left off. But thanks so much, guys, for joining me. Make sure you hit a thumbs up before I leave. Everybody, there's 14 people here. I need 14 likes. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. I'm waiting. Like. Everybody hit the like button. 14 people in here. Hit the like button before I leave. And then what I'll do is come back here in about 30 minutes. We'll rejoin our live stream here again. So, guys, we'll see you in a bit. All right. Bye.